Hey there, everybody. Don Evans here from WatchReport.com, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Borealis Seafarer 2. As you can see here, I have it in pieces. There's a reason for that. I'll show you that in a minute. I'm going to do this review in a couple different parts that I'm going to edit together when I'm all done recording. But so let me go over the specifications. You are looking at a 44mm by 53mm lug to lug, 15.7mm stick, a domed sapphire crystal, a 120 click sapphire bezel insert. The bezel itself is a stainless steel turbine style bezel. BGW9 lume on the hands, markers, and the bezel itself. Viton gaskets. And you're looking at a Miyota 9015 automatic movement. There is, of course, a few different color combos. You want to take a look at the Borealis website for that. This is the gray dial version with the black bezel. And your price is $450. Now, the weight I don't have on this yet because I had it on this strap. And what I'm going to do is I want to show you something, and then I'm going to come back. I'm going to have it on the bracelet, and I'll have the weight by then as well. So I'll give you the weight here shortly. So if you remember this watch, or its predecessor, I should say, the Borealis Seafarer, I reviewed it just a little over 2 years ago here on WatchReport.com. And it was a very large watch. It was about $100 less, and I definitely think there's more than enough upgrades on this version to take into account the $100 upgrade charge, and not alone the price on the Miyota 9015 going up. But that was a larger watch by a big shot. It was still 44mm, but it was like 56 or 57mm lug to lug. It was a much thicker watch, much heavier watch, had Tudor style hands. And as you can see here, they kind of went with a Seiko looking dial here. As you know, you could see, especially with the markers, especially that big triangle marker there, the upside down triangle. You have a sword style minute hand, and then you have your arrow hour hand. Now, the reason I have this apart, and before I had put it back on the bracelet, I wanted to show you that you have two lug holes. So if you're going to use the bracelet, you put it in the first, and if you want to put it on the strap, you put it in the second, and that really reduces the gap, as you could see here, from having it, you won't have a big gap from the lugs to where your strap starts. And that's a very nice touch. Not the first company to do it, of course, but not as many as we should see. Because it really makes wearing a strap and a bracelet seamless. So I wanted to show you that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back. I'm going to have it on the bracelet for you. I'll of course show it to you on my wrist, lume shots and everything, and I'll give you the weight here in just a second. All right, we are back here. As I said, I would have it sized on the bracelet and on my 7.5-inch wrist to show you size reference here. Wears much better than the original Borealis Seafarer. Not only was it like 56mm lug to lug, but the way the bracelet attached, it bowed out from the case and made it like almost like a 59mm lug to lug. So for me personally, with a 7.5-inch wrist, it was not very wearable. Or comfortable for that matter. As you can see here, this sits a lot better. It is not as tall. I mean, you're still looking at almost 16mm stick total here. You're looking at 15.7. That's 16mm basically if you're rounding up. But it doesn't play off super chunky because of the way the bezel is much smaller than the case here, of course. So, you have a 4.5mm thick stainless bracelet. You do of course have your ratcheting extension clasp, so you just pop on these here. I'm trying to do this from behind the camera so you could adjust it just like that, and give it sizing on the go, if you will, or of course over a wetsuit, which is really the intended purpose of it. as of course this is a dive watch. It is 4,000 meters water resistant. So the weight on this, 126 grams for the watch head only, 258 grams with all links. So the original one I think was just about 300 grams, if not right at 300 grams. So you're looking at almost 50 grams in weight reduction from the original model. So much more wearable, of course, on the wrist. Still a big, chunky, heavy watch, but not as big and chunky as its predecessor. I could say words. So let me give you a look here around the dial. Of course, with this dome sapphire crystal, you're going to see some distortion and glare here off my camera, but I'll do my best here to give you a look at the dial. As I said, 4,000 meters water resistant, does have a helium escape valve. Not sure if this is the video to talk about helium escape valves or not, but maybe I'm going to touch on it here a little bit. There seems to be some confusion as to what a helium escape valve is for. I don't know if it started on the forums a few years back or where it started on the internet, but a lot of guys have become thinking that, well, you need a helium escape valve because if you're going to go down to heavy depths in the ocean while diving, that'll be a helium rich environment, and that helium can get trapped in, and when you descend back up to the top, if you don't have a helium release valve to slowly release the helium, that your watch is going to explode, your crystal is going to pop off. That is not the case at all whatsoever. As a matter of fact, from speaking to two different guys who are both divers, real divers, commercial divers, I won't get into it at length here. If you Google it and are really interested in what the difference is, why a helium escape valve exists on a watch, you can get the full explanation. Do a quick Google on it. But real quickly here, and then I'll get back to the Prometheus, or excuse me, Borealis. Prometheus, of course, is their brother company, because it is run by Carlos and Maria. Carlos of Prometheus and Borealis, Maria from Borealis, their husband and wife. But helium release valve is basically if you are in the dive bell for more than a few hours at a time, your helium can get trapped in there, and so it slowly releases it, with the helium release valve. And it's not something that happens all the time either, but that is the reasoning for it. More than anything, let's be honest, for 95% of us, probably at least, it's nothing more than a gimmick, because most of us aren't doing any bell diving anytime soon. So let me get back to the watch. As I said, you do have a sapphire bezel, a sapphire crystal. Of course, you got this beautiful turbine bezel, which I'm sure you guys have seen from another company over in Germany before, but it's a very nice touch. And I didn't know how I was going to like it on this more traditional style case, but I really do like it. Have a signed screw-down crown, of course. You have the standard Borealis case back here with your sexy mermaid. Watch her swim along. All right, enough of the silliness now. Of course, as I said, this is a screw-down crown with the Miyota 9015 automatic movement. No issues here, in my opinion. Really not wobbly or anything like that. Your bezel. Now, here's something I noticed about the bezel. I don't know if you could pick that up on camera, but you see how it's kind of bouncing up and down? Now, I don't know if that's supposed to be like that or if that's just on my model, but it does not affect the bezel itself. As you can see, there is no side-to-side play here on the bezel, and it ratchets very nice and precise. And that does line up there as well with the 12 o'clock marker. So bezel action is great in my opinion. You do have screws, one-sided screws on the bracelet. You're always going to want to be careful when doing one-sided screws, because once you take them out, you're probably going to want to put a little Loctite in them, just a touch of Loctite as you're screwing them back in, so they don't fall back out, and you know, they start loosening themselves sometimes, and then all of a sudden you don't notice it, and then you know, you're out doing whatever, you're taking a jog, you're getting in the car, and your watch falls off your wrist because that screw came out of the link. So always use a little dab of Loctite when you're screwing them back in. So let me give you a loom shot here, because I know you loom junkies are waiting for it and wondering how the loom is on this watch. So we'll be right back and I'll show you that. All right, there we are back. I charged this for about 40 seconds or so under my studio lights. Now, what you're going to see here, if you could see that, is the bezel glows nicely, the hands glow very nicely, the markers do not, which of course is a little disappointing considering they are so large. If I charge just a little bit longer, you know, put it there, charge for like a minute, and in full darkness, because I still have light coming into my studio here, they do glow a little bit better, a little bit brighter, but not as intense as the bezel and hands. So there is a look at the loom, and we'll come right back and finish up this review. All right, there we are back. As I said, you know, that was a look at the loom. You know, $450, you're getting a Miyota 9015. You know, you're getting all the bells and whistles and all the goodies here that we're coming to expect more and more from all the micro brands. Sapphire crystal, automatic movement, you know, loomed bezel, sapphire bezel, domed sapphire crystal, ratcheting extension clasp. And, you know, overall, I think it's a big improvement over the previous Borealis Seafarer. And, you know, personally, I still, even though it's a smaller, you know, they reduced it down. Man, I know Borealis comes out with a lot of different sizes of watches these days. You know, they have a bunch of 42s coming out. I shouldn't say a bunch. They have at least two 42 millimeters coming out. They released a 41 millimeter, which was the Borealis Estoril. So I know they do a bunch of different sizes, but in regards to this style of watch, man, I would have loved to have seen this personally in, say, like 43 millimeters, 50 millimeter lug to lug, and max, like, you know, 13, 14 millimeters thick max. Because I don't personally dive, you know, of course I'll go swimming or I'll go in the ocean or whatever, but I don't need 4,000 meters, and that 4,000 meters water resistance, of course, brings the watch up as far as thickness and everything like that, with all the gaskets and the crystals and the inner walls of the case. But that's just something subjective on my part. Of course, I would like the loom to be better, especially on the hour markers. You know, the most important part is the hands do glow well, and I don't think any of us really need the hour markers in the dark to be able to look at the watch and go, oh, okay, it's 10:45 or whatever. But my pet peeve is if you apply a loom, you know, make it good. But I would say really, as far as quality of the watch, that would really be my only complaint. As I said, you know, I like the look, I like the design, the bracelet's nice, the case is, you know, well finished, you know, with the brushed and polished finishes. Beyond the loom and, you know, just some personal subjectiveness there, I really don't have anything else, you know, negative to say about the Borealis Seafarer, and I still think it's very competitively priced. Borealis, of course, keeps getting better and better with every release, and this is no different. They've come a long way from when they first started, and of course, having a husband who does Prometheus watches isn't a bad thing to have on hand. So this has been a look at the Borealis Seafarer 2. Leave a like or a comment here on YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll never miss another review. Follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This has been Don Evans for WatchReport.com. Thank you very much, guys. And real quick, we have a new website coming. I don't believe it'll be up by the time this video goes live, that this review goes live. But we got a brand new website coming up soon. Going to be much easier to navigate, a much fresher look. I personally had a hand in designing the website, so you know, of course we'll announce here on the channel and everywhere else when it is live and brand new, but I just want to give you guys something to look forward to. Hopefully you will see that soon. Alright, I know this video is really long, but I'll see you guys soon. Thank you very much.